Calling all lovers of mystery and fans of a good story. If you haven't already heard me talk about June's Journey, you're in for a treat. It's time to don your detective hat in this free hidden object mobile game that delves into the captivating journey of June Parker, a self-proclaimed detective on a quest to unravel the mystery surrounding her sister's untimely death. In June's Journey, you get to play as June, deciphering clues and unveiling secret plots within thousands of beautifully illustrated scenes. And did I mention it's set in the glitzy 1920s? New chapters are added weekly, so you will never run out of new thrills to uncover, and you can also personalize and decorate your very own Orchid Island where the story takes place. How sharp are your detective skills? Find out when you download June's Journey on your Android or iOS device, or play online via Facebook Games. Your detective journey awaits.
Hey there, it's Rachel Ballinger, and I am thrilled to invite you to Rachel Uncensored, my podcast where I get real with my friends and celebrity guests, where we talk about all sorts of topics. From personal stories to hot-button issues, we cover it all. New episodes drop every Wednesday, so make sure you tune in on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Trust me, you won't want to miss out on the fun and candid conversations we have here on Rachel Uncensored.
Hey, this is Brett the Hitman Hart.
This is Dina Parisi, 2015 IHRA Pro Mod World Champion.
Hi, I'm Fiona Forbes.
Hi, this is Jody Emery of Cannabis Culture and Pot TV.
Hey, I'm drummer Matt Chamberlain.
Hello, this is Melissa Etheridge.
Hi, this is Taylor Leanne Chandler, Michael Phelps' ex-girlfriend.
Hey, it's Rex Brown.
Seaball in the house, and you are listening to the Todd Cast here on CKDJ, the hits of your life.
Who's that one friend in your circle, in your tribe, that has absolutely no filter? That friend that you know will shoot you straight. They'll tell you how it is. Well, one of those friends for me is a guy named Mr. Tequila. He's been ranting about everything and anything on this podcast since we launched in 2015. And prior to that, when I was hosting C Fox's afternoon show, he was a weekly guest for close to a decade. He's got things to say. And of course, we welcome him back to the podcast. Joining Mr. Tequila, you know her as one of the most successful, most recognizable women in adult film. We're making it official. Romi is a guest this week as well. You'll hear from this week's musical guest in just a minute. They're kings of Billboard's mainstream rock chart. Coming up in about 15 minutes, listen to this, Chantel Kreviazuk talks about the possibility of alien visitation and the idea of life being a simulation. Very trippy stuff. That is brought to you by Tedco RV Supplies in Langley, RV Service Repair, ICBC accredited. Find them online at tedcorvsuppliesinc.com. First, our first guest of three is this week's musical guest, Smith & Myers, brought to you by Pineapple Sound, recording and mixing in Langley since 2013. Great little studio, low rates, good guys as well. Check them out through pineapplesound.com. To know the band Smith & Myers would almost imply that you know where they came from. Brent Smith, Zach Myers, two members of Shinedown, one of the most successful hard rock and alternative rock bands of the last decade or more. They've sold over 10 million albums. They have the most number one songs on Billboard's mainstream rock chart at 16 number one songs. This is cool if you didn't know this. When COVID burst onto the scene in March 2020, Shinedown released Atlas Falls, and through that song, they raised $300,000 US for direct relief to provide equipment for frontline workers. Amazing, right? They were scheduled to do their deep dive tour this past summer, but the pandemic, of course, squashed that. You'll hear that in the conversation, the full conversation. They're optimistic about touring and the things kind of getting back to normal, presumably because they don't like their downtime. Brent and Zach Smith & Myers started up this acoustic project back in 2014, recently released a couple albums, cover songs and originals. Pretty awesome that a big name, big players, big band will take some time to say hello to the peons in the podcasting world. Let's be honest, I'm not Joe Rogan. Nice guys, and I really appreciate them jumping on. You can hear the full talk right now at our iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud pages. I think it's about maybe half hour long, maybe just a bit over that. In the meantime, here's 10 minutes with Shinedown singer Brent Smith and guitarist Zach Myers together to talk about, amongst other things, their acoustic side project, Smith and Myers.
The Toddcast Podcast.
And what did you take from Shinedown and like kind of the stuff you know that kind of works and transfer it over to Smith and Myers?
Zach? I mean, just the songwriting, really. I mean, we've always been writers. So I think when it came to Smith and Myers, you're going to make your first album as a new group, as far as, we've done covers before, but this is the first time we're writing a record. So it kind of, what a freeing place to be to make your first album. Again, you get to make another first album for the first time with Shinedown. We made our first album 20 years ago, so it's like to be able to do that is something very freeing. There's no boundaries or parameters to what you can do. So as far as what we took from Shinedown, just I think our writing, we're obviously two members of a popular rock band, and that's, when you want to go do this, you don't want it to sound like your band. I think, if we would have if Brett and I would have started another rock band, I think that's the dumbest thing ever. I think to me, like, you're not getting something from the band that you're like, I think when people make side projects in the same genre, I don't know, it doesn't bother me, but I mean, I would never personally do that. Like, I get everything I need being in a rock band out of Shinedown. Like, I don't need to like go make another rock and roll band. Like, that's not something that I would ever need to do. It would actually probably make me unhappy. So when it come to this, it was, we get to write as a duo and with no drums and no bass. How would that sound? So it was very freeing. But as far as what we took from it, I just think the experience of writing, 6 records in the past.
And we know that, there's a Peter Gabriel. You did the Billie Eilish cover. What were some of the cover songs that you were tossing around the idea of doing that didn't make it to tape?
All Too Well by Taylor Swift.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
River by Leon Bridges. Life by the Drop by Stevie Ray Vaughan. There was a couple that didn't
Life
make
by
the cut.
Drop.
Yeah.
Come
It's
on.
a profound song, man.
Wow.
Yeah. I think there's a side of this too. Like, going into this, there were absolutely no rules. It's kind of the same thing too with Shinedown. Like, when we walk in, we're 9 songs in to Shinedown 7 right now. We're in the midst of writing for that record, which will be coming out next year. But the fact of the matter is, we don't make the same Shinedown record over and over again either. Like, and that's on purpose. Like, we evolve. We also try to not write the same song over and over again. We're one of the only bands that I know of in modern culture in this day and age where we, once again, radio, we've been on multiple formats over the years. We're not just on mainstream rock. We're on alternative. We've been on Top 40 before. We've been on AAA, Hot AC. So with this element going in and it being a double album, there were no rules whatsoever. And like Zach was saying a moment ago too, these songs that are covers of other people, really the idea was don't make a carbon copy of it. Like, take it and do something different with it. Obviously, you have songs like Unchained Melody where we're kind of sticking to what the core of that song is, but it's me and Zach doing it. But, we did Better Now by Post Malone, which is like a rap song. People were
nice.
like, what is this going to sound like?
That's great.
But we also did, REM's Losing My Religion. We did, Don't Look Back in Anger by Oasis. Like you were saying, Sledgehammer, Billie Eilish with Bad Guy. Also, we took Rebel Yell, man, and turned it on its head by Billie Eilish. You know what I mean? So it's no rules, man. None.
I want to go back and kind of get into the early years of you guys. What's the music in the Smith and what's the music in the Myers house as a kid growing up? What are your parents playing you?
Go ahead, Zach.
A lot of kind of soul stuff. When I was growing up, a lot of Sam and Dave, Otis Redding was in my house a lot. Billy Joel, my mom liked Billy Joel a lot. James Taylor, that kind of stuff. And then my dad was the kind of rock and roll side. So my dad was the Led Zeppelin. My dad was the Stevie Ray Vaughan. My dad was that kind of stuff. So, but in my mom's car, a lot of Otis Redding, a lot of Sam and Dave, a lot of top 40, like 80s top 40, So, Whitney Houston, Don Henley, the Eagles, so it was, you know, it was a cool dynamic to have kind of both sides of it, you know, for me. Brent, what did you listen to growing up?
Well, a lot of things, like with Zach, it's one of the reasons why me and him are connected in a lot of ways. We have the same upbringing. But for whatever reason, I thought about this. I'm going to put Zach on the spot because I think it's actually, it's interesting because of the diversity of him as a guitar player and what have you. I think people would be interested to know, like, Zach, tell them how you started playing guitar in the first place. Because it's interesting.
He laughs.
I got a guitar. I got it because it's stupid. I got a guitar.
No. It's actually really, really interesting.
I got a guitar for my 12th birthday at the Raleigh skating rink. I put it in my closet for a year. I didn't even know that you were supposed to put your left hand on the guitar when I got it. So I around my 13th birthday, so about a year later, I was at home. I was watching I believe it was a Bush video maybe. And it was like a live thing, and I picked up the guitar that was probably in 7 different tunings. And I was watching their hands, and I just kind of started copying their hands. And I don't remember what song it was. It was either Come Down or Machine Head or something. And it probably sounded nothing like that. But I was like, oh, I can do this.
It's the rhythm. You're copying the rhythm.
And that was it. And then 11 months later, I got my first record deal with MCA Nashville.
What was your first concert, Brent?
Mine, the Beach Boys, at Thompson Bowling Arena. I was 6 years old.
Wow. That had to be a mind blower.
I didn't even know what was going on. Like, I mean, I remember this was like Kokomo days.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
John Stamos.
Who I found out later on that tour at that time was on that tour, was playing bongos. And
he was playing percussion. Yeah.
Wow.
So, but yeah, man, not a bad first show.
That's pretty good first
Zach,
show.
what was yours?
My first show was Leonard Skinner, ZZ Top, and the Damn Yankees at Mud Island Amphitheater.
Well, you win.
Another pretty impressive show.
My second show was New Kids on the Block.
Wow.
You win again.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. I actually still have the Hangin' Tough New Kids on the Block tour jacket, 1989. And then I saw the Bengals. I saw the Bengals too when I was like 6 or 7.
What about you, Todd? What was your first?
My first concert was Dr. Hook.
Really?
The cover of the Rolling Stone.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I was probably like 7 or 8 years old. It was up in northern BC in a place called Kitimat.
Do you remember it vividly?
I don't remember it vividly. The things I remember are like, I mean, I remember, I guess, seeing the show, but like the things I remember is like just the excitement because it was a band that my parents always played. I just remember the excitement of getting in the car and like, you know, the energy of like walking up and all these people are walking to the arena. You know, everybody's excited. I remember that, like in the popcorn and just the smells of being in the arena. And
yeah,
I mean, I guess I do remember the show, but not super vividly. You know, I think
I'm surprised it wasn't a Canadian band that you saw first, especially in those days. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I figured it would be a Canadian band.
You would think it would be something like a Trooper or
Trooper, dude.
Like Chilliwack or something like that.
Yeah.
But Tragically Hip.
Tragically Hip. There you go. That's Canada's house band. What a tragedy.
God rest his soul, man.
Yeah, what a
great documentary though that is, man.
Amazing, right?
That shit is inspiring, man.
Yeah, it totally is. I mean, when you lose somebody like that from your, like we lost Gord Downey from not culture, but for a lack of better words, when you lose somebody like that, it's like really hard to digest and
what's crazy, man, about that is think about here's the thing. When people die, right, everyone feels some sort of loss. And I was thinking about this actually last week because I watched that documentary again. Unless a president dies here that was like beloved, that sense of like when he died, that like hit the entire country of Canada, right? Like it was like,
oh yeah,
that doesn't happen in a singular country. Like that was such a, it's so weird and hard to explain, but like it was like the country of Canada's loss, right? Like I remember all my on Instagram, on Facebook, like all my friends from Canada it was like the saddest day in Canadian history. Like it completely insane. Like that doesn't happen in America. Like unless like a very beloved president dies or something. But like when Prince died, yeah, everyone felt it, but it didn't feel like a country's loss. You know what I mean? Like I just remember feeling like, wow, this country, how cool this is. It's sad that he died, but like the whole country mourned this person, that meant so much.
And then on the anniversary of his death day, you threw out Tragically Hip. I mean, it just came up maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks back.
That's insane, man. It was so cool to see the country just kind of like, all kind of like mourn together, man. Like I felt that was very endearing to me.
Musical guests of the Toddcast podcast are powered by Pineapple Sound, providing recording and mixing services for a wide range of artists and genres since 2013. Check them out at pineapplesound.com.
I've been deep screen diving all night long. Baby, I swallowed my cellular phone. Took a little wider stance. I'm getting calm and I'm getting money all now. Before they change their minds, someone let me get it right. One time, Lord, I'm ready. Take my body, I'm coming home. Lord, I'm ready. Take my body, I'm coming home. We've been walking on a long road. Yeah, a couple things have lost their shine. Hell, I only got one regret, and that is that I never made you mine. And I had no reason why I should stop. It was just pleasing me, so why not? Filling up the gas again, falling in love fast again. And I said I wouldn't do it, but it's not your fault that I'm slow to heal. But I swim the waterfall to show you just how I feel. Lord, I'm ready. Take my body, I'm coming home. Lord, I'm ready. Take my body, I'm coming home. Dancing with those demons while I'm reaching for it. Honey, your eyes of love meet me above the fire and rain. Oh, and change it comes around when I find myself in your shoes. But I've been so afraid to show you, like my soul might fly away. I've been dancing with those demons, but I'm reaching for it. Honey, your eyes of love meet me above the fire and rain. Oh, and change it comes around when I find myself in your shoes. But I've been so afraid to show ya, like my soul might fly away. Like my soul might fly away.
And now, listen to this on the Toddcast podcast.
You'll know Chantal Krefiasik, or certainly know the name, even if you don't listen to her music, as she's been on Canada's music radar since the 90s. Her debut album came out in the mid-90s, 1996. She's had an impressive career, hit singles, albums sold, chart placement. To this day, Chantal remains one of the best-selling Canadian artists in Canada. Born in Winnipeg, went to an all-girls school, is married to Our Lady Peace singer Rain Maida, a power couple in Canada, you might say. Beyond the music, you've seen her in some Canadian independent films, some short films. It was great to get Chantal on the podcast. We covered a lot of ground in a short amount of time, like binging on The Watchmen and Succession, how the Beatles, Supertramp, and Elvis were played in her house as a kid growing up. We talked about legalized marijuana, Good Rockin' Tonight, remember that show? Big time in the elementary school years. We talked Christmas albums, seeing Tom Petty, The Police, the Eagles in concert, and Chantal talked about the possibility of alien visitation and the abstract thought, the concept of life being a simulation. It's a trippy idea to wrap your head around, but why not, right? Careful, because this one's a big rabbit hole. Listen to this.
Lately, I believe this is a simulation. From everything I read, I've kind of my brain is like flipped on its end. But this is a simulation. So if it's a simulation, that means anything's possible because someone's just like writing the story. So it's like
interesting.
I don't know.
I've lately been thinking that as well. Because I started,
I think a lot of people are thinking it. We're
really
just figuring it out.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of people think you're completely crazy when you bring that up.
Yeah, it's like the other thing about the simulation is that you notice how that word creator has become such a big part of culture. Like, so we always had the creator in religion, right? We had a God.
Right.
And now we have creators who make all the various like apps and softwares. They're called creators. And we're creative beings. But I don't know, I kind of think that like my head is kind of saying, what's the difference if it was a God or it was a creator of a simulation? And the creator could be somebody who is a fifth grade student somewhere and was doing an experiment and what feels like a billion years for us is really 15 minutes from her presentation right now. I mean, who knows? Like, but at the end of it all, when my head starts to explode, I just think to myself, you know what? It doesn't really matter.
Right.
All we haven't got that kind of control. All we have is control over here and now. And I really believe no matter what your philosophy, your religion, your outlook is, the healthiest you, the best you, is in the moment, is in the present moment in time, and isn't doing forward thinking, and isn't living in the past, and isn't trying to control things that are out of your control. So if it's a simulation and it's a fifth grader, I hope she does well in her report. And
she's absolutely crushing it.
Listen to this on the Toddcast podcast is brought to you by Tedco RV Supplies in Langley, an ICBC approved repair shop. Find them online at TedcoRVSuppliesInc.com.
poster bed where I used to rest my head, and now I have a different zip code every week. Sold everything I couldn't take in my 98 gold Protege, and I swear I don't regret a single thing. I had everything you work your whole life for. You can't take it with you when you die. Can't cash a check on the other side. There ain't no buying back your time, you know. You can't take it with you when you go. We're all the same 6 feet below. There ain't no diamonds in the sky. Can't take it with you when you die. Where you die. I don't really need much space. My whole life fits in one suitcase. I'm as permanent as dollar store tattoos. When people ask me if I miss the stuff I had, the way I lived, I tell them none of that's worth holding on to. No, you can't take it with you when you die. Can't cash a check on the other side. There ain't no buying back your time, you know. You can't take it with you when you go. We're all the same 6 feet below. There ain't no diamonds in the sky. Can't take it with you when you die. When you die. So buy the shoes, eat the cake, take that trip, drink that drink. 'Cause you can't take it with you, no, you can't take it with you. Sing that song, sing it loud, go all in, go all out. 'Cause you can't take it with you, no, you can't take it with you when you die. Where you die. No, you can't take it with you when you die. Can't cash a check on the other side. There ain't no buying back your time, you know. You can't take it with you where you go. We're all the same 6 feet below. There ain't no diamonds in the sky. Can't take it with you when you die. When you die. Oh, when you die. When you
Absolutely loving that one. Her name is Sadie Campbell, and a new song for her. It's called You Can't Take It With You. New for the podcast as well. It's The First Spin. Love Sadie's voice. Originally from Vancouver. In fact, we used to work together back in the day in radio. She was in promo while I was on air. Meanwhile, at the time, I was oblivious to the fact that she has a killer singing voice. Proud of her work, proud of everything she's done. She's relocated to Nashville and been there for a good chunk of time now, kicking ass and taking names. Played you a band called the Boom Booms, and their song was Lord, I'm Ready, and a great way to start things off musically. One of my all-time favorite Vancouver rock bands. And since we just had 10 minutes with Smith and Myers, the side project of a couple guys from Shinedown, the Boom Booms guitarist Tom fronts a band called Small Town Artillery, and I want to play something from those guys later on in the podcast. All right, Todd's Trolls is coming up as well. The stupid, the mean, the hurtful, but really it's the funny things that people say to what you post, what you see online. This week, AC/DC, like how do you chirp off AC/DC? The movie Clifford the Big Red Dog and UFC 255 have targets on their backs. As always, powered by our friends at The Garage. Games and geekery in Maple Ridge. It's your place to play Warhammer and D&D, slay trolls, and a lot more. Find them online at garagegames.ca. First, the second of three Toddcast guests this week is is our returning sports loudmouth, Mr. Tequila. As mentioned off the top, he's been a part of the almost 7 years we've been podcasting. We get him on a couple times a year kind of thing, and probably close to 7 years chirping off on a weekly rant when I was doing the afternoon show for 99.3 The Fox, CFox, here in Vancouver, where the podcast is based. So here we go again, speaking for Joe Average, ready to chirp off about anything and everything. Follow him on Twitter at Mr. Tequila Rant, and he's also on Facebook as well. Let's see how many buttons he pushes this week. The full conversation, definitely always worth hearing. Search it out through Toddcast Podcast, again on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud. You get it through toddhancock.ca as well. Till you hear that, here's 10 minutes with our resident sports loudmouth, Mr. Tequila.
The Toddcast Podcast.
What else is making your radar, Tequila? I'm curious.
All these people, the Calgary Flames, half our team went to Calgary Flames. It's like, fuck, Canuck fans, just back it up. We got a good fucking team here. Like, we lost Markstrom. Markstrom played good, but look how long it's taken Markstrom to play good for us. The fucking kid's 32 now. He was going to shoot for the moon contract, so obviously we can't afford him. We're not going to pay him $6 million when we got two of the best players in the NHL coming up. Hughes, who's going to want 11 million, and Pedersen, who's going to want fucking 11.5 million. We have to give it to him. So we need money for these guys. So Markstrom, he wasn't staying. But look who we picked up, Braden Holtby. And awesome. He's good. But you know what? There's expansion pick protocols right now. So if you kept Markstrom and signed him for that money, either him or Demko's got to be exposed. And you don't want to expose Demko. He's good too. We want to keep him. He's the goalie of the future, right? So Holtby, he's still a good goalie that will play some additional minutes, but if we have to expose somebody, Holtby will be there. And if they, Seattle wants to take him, go ahead. But we lost Tanev. Look how good Tanev played for us in the playoffs, which was fucking awesome. The Canucks kicked ass this year out of nowhere, won 3 rounds. Like, unbelievable. But Tanev, look how he played. Tanev played awesome all year round. What? Why? Contract year, right? So it's his last contract. You got to make sure you play real well to get that money. That's why they can go into Calgary. Tanev, he's there. Levo's there. We lost Troy Stetcher, which kind of sucks. I kind of liked him. We like all these guys, but we did get some good players. We got this Nate Schmidt guy who's awesome, this defenseman, way better than Tanev. He total upgrade.
Well,
right?
Did you mention Toffoli? He's gone as well.
Toffoli's gone. Yes, Toffoli, that was kind of a loss too. But again, we can't. We did trade away a pick for him or whatever. I think it was a second-round pick. But still, I would have liked to keep him, especially at the dollar that he went there. So I don't know what Benning was doing there, but I can't dump on Benning anymore. Benning's done a good job. He put together this team.
Yeah.
And you can't fault them for these bad contracts. Yes, that was a long time ago. They're haunting us still.
Well, they're still paying for Luongo. Fuck, they're like, what?
For fucking Luongo, yeah.
Retired,
yeah. We got fucked on that by the NHL. No other team. Hossa retiring, that didn't screw Chicago. That's bullshit. That should affect them too. But of course, they fucked us. But it is what it is. The Eriksson thing's going to come off. We're going to get rid of Sutter. Don't worry. But we got this. We still got 2 superstar kids coming, this Podkolzin and Niles Hoglander. These kids are going to be fighting for spots like quick, like next year, year after. Hoglander might be on the team this year. But Podkolzin, maybe one more year. His contract finishes, so he can probably come back and play here in March. These are good players that, we're going to have so many snipers that we'll have to trade somebody to just keep it down, keep the cap down.
Right. It's not a bad thing.
That's a good position to be in.
Yeah.
Well, and then again, these guys that wanted us to lose that first round to get a draft pick, some of these Canuck fans, come on, what the fuck do you want a draft pick right now compared to making the play? The whole point is to make the playoffs.
Right. Win the cup, man. Just win
the cup. Yes, you can't get the cup unless you get there. If you get there, it's a tournament. Anybody who wins St. Louis showed that Canucks fucking could have pulled it off. They were good enough to do it last year, which stunned everybody. But now look at that team with the confidence they got after the playoff run they went. But you got to look at it with a grain of salt too, because this is COVID hockey. We're playing in one city. There's no travel. Part of the winning the Stanley Cup is the travel. Right. You're going West Coast playing 7-game series. You're sleeping on the plane. Like, that is tough.
Grueling shit.
Grueling. And that's why you see these guys in tears when they win the Stanley Cup. It's such a long road to get there once you're from a kid right to playing Game 7 in the playoffs. It's such a long road, and that's why they get emotional when they win, because it's so hard. But the Canucks just gaining that experience, this is going to be, the tough times are gone. We're contending like now. which is awesome.
Yeah.
Which I really like. Well,
yeah.
Look how many fans left when it was the Eriksson and all this stuff, even the Sedin's tail end of the career. Those were some bad times in Vancouver, and just so much negativity from the local media just dumping on these guys. But finally, Banning had some picks that turned it around. He constructed this team. We're getting good coaching, goaltending, defense. Look at this superstar defenseman. We got a fucking Bobby in our lineup. Modern day Bobby Orr, which Vancouver has never had. We've never had a guy like this, right? We've had superstars, Pavel Bure, Trevor Linden, Sedin's, Bertuzzi, but not a star-studded defense. This guy will be the best in the NHL right away. Top 5 for sure in his rookie year.
I mean, we had Dana Merzen at one point, but
Yeah, Dana Merzen, when I seen Dana Merzen play, I was just thinking, fuck Tequila, you should have kept playing. You probably would have been better than Dana Merzen. You know what I mean?
Did you mention Virtanen's back too, right? We signed him for a 2-year deal.
Virtanen, I think that's going to be a sign and trade, to be honest with.
Oh yeah.
While he's got a pretty friendly contract, if other teams want him, I think they're going to dump him. He came in like a couple of times now, coming back out of shape. These local kids, when you're the Canucks and you're a local kid, you're the fucking star of the town. And I think he needs a change of scenery. And it'll be tough to see him go, but I just can't see him. He can't bump anybody. There's nobody else to bump.
Yeah.
Right? Even though he did play okay, but I just think how many chances do you have to give this kid, right?
Yeah, true enough.
Did you hear what they're doing in the OHL? How they're
no hitting. There? What the fuck is that?
What are you doing?
What that?
Are you doing? This is professional. These guys are going to be pros. They need that experience to get
brutal.
Hit. Like, you're going to go on a face-off. You're still face-to-face with these guys. You're still going to get in close. So what's the hazard? You know what I mean? Like, body checking. Well, how is it any different? You're testing. It's always testing. Look at the NHL did. Was flawless in the bubble. What, 0 COVID cases we had? NHL? How many weeks was that? That was like 9 weeks of summer where all these teams playing, all these guys' families coming and going. They test. You have to test. Test. Every day, wherever you go. You can travel, but closed arenas, and you have a test. But then again, some of these, these leagues aren't going to make it. If they don't have fans in the stands, a lot of these teams like the NLL, that's a league that's going to hurt. WHL, if you can't have fans pay a lot of this stuff, right? They buy the shirt, they buy the beer, they buy whatever, the parking. They usually get everything. That's their income. If they don't have that, they're fucked.
That's the same could be said, though, of the NHL, too. Like, those guys need fucking fans in the building. They can't continue to pull off no fans. Like,
yeah, and you know what? I think they could do it because, look, the
sponsorship
does it properly. Do it with like the movie theaters do. You got them 6 feet apart. Everyone has to wear masks. You got sanitizer. Just sanitize the shit out of the place. Make it testing where you can test when you come in. Make it like that. Spread the people out. Social distancing. I think they could do it.
I heard that if they're going to do that for, and I would imagine it'd be the same thing for a hockey game, but I've heard that if they're going to do that for like, tours and stuff, if they're going through and playing at Rogers Arena or just the big arenas across North America, that instead of like the 15,000 to 18,000 it would normally hold, it would be something like 1,200 to 1,500 people.
Yeah, just scale it back a little bit, but
imagine what the ticket prices would be at that point then too.
Well, of course, especially the bigger name acts are going to be able to do it. Then the tickets are going to be $500, right? Like, they're going to have to recoup their money.
Yeah,
and with a smaller crowd, they have to. You know what I mean? Like, it's a total loss for our whole scene, our poor Vancouver scene. It's just heartbreaking to see all these good places close. You know what I mean? And it's like, what are we going to come back to? Like, there's so many people that we know, even in our industry, that are just like, this is their only job and they have nothing now. And like, we can't, the last place that's going to be open too is the clubs. They're not opening for a long time. So that just kills the whole music industry together, which sucks.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't done a show at the Railway since March, I think. And I don't think I'm going to be doing one until the new year at the earliest.
Well, I'm just glad we got to play one of your shows there in November of last year, which was awesome, right? I'm just thankful that we got to do that because it's just, you know what I mean? There's so many people, like so many even big name artists right now reluctant to release material because it's almost like a waste. What are you going to do with it?
Yeah, you're not going to tour
Nobody buys records, right? Nobody buys records. It's like it's all... Don't make money off that. You need to make money off tour revenue, shirts, t-shirt, merch, the whole works, right?
Right.
So, like, look at Lamb of God. I'm not even really a fan of those guys, but they put out a pretty good album. That would have packed the place everywhere they went would be packed. So think of the money that they're losing just from releasing that album
Right.
during a COVID, knowing that you're never going to recoup what you would have if it wasn't COVID.
Right, of course.
AC/DC.
Yeah.
Look at AC/DC coming back. How long? Like, we got these guys just hanging on by a thread because they're so old, ready to do a tour, and COVID comes. You know what I mean?
Well, they got that new album coming out too that was just recorded here in Van.
Yeah. Like, it's just so much is going to be wasted because of this, and it just sucks. But like, there has to be some blame for this. You know what I mean? Like, this was let out somewhere. And that's, you know, can't be nice. This is dealing with our health. Somebody did release this, and we know where it came from. And it's not racist to say that this came from that area of the world. This is terrible that this happened. This was brought on us. This is nobody's fault. No Canadians are at fault for this. This is those guys that did this and released this. Whatever, if it was warfare, chemical warfare, whatever the hell it was, it got out of this lab. There's pictures that a famous president was in that lab one time in 2015, which makes me really nervous too.
The Toddcast Podcast. Follow on Instagram and Twitter at Toddcast Podcast.
Honey, you drive me to the end of my wits. Honey, you like me to fully commit. Honey, if you'll have me, then I am ready to give. Now I know how it feels to hear another name on your lips. I cannot share you, ooh, and you can't have it all. So honey, I dare you, yeah, I dare you to let the other man fall. Said don't let it scare you. With your honest forest eyes and the way I care for you has made me realize that all goddamn day I'm thinking about it, and I just cannot go on without it. So I'm a matchstick, summer in a Serengeti heat wave, running hard after the girl in my dreams. Yeah, thought I burned up my fuel in the freeway, battle for the girl with my heart in a keepsake. Burned up my fuel in the freeway, battle for the girl with my heart in a keepsake. Golden horizons, a new dawn in my heart. I'm so much wiser than I was at the start. I'm rising for you. Ooh, you're the one that I need. Hop in my white van and hop up on me. 'Cause all goddamn day I'm thinking about it, and so I just cannot go on without it. So I'm a matchstick, summer ghetto Serengeti heat wave, running hard after the girl in my dreams. Yeah, thought I burned up my fuel in the freeway, battle for the girl with my heart in a keepsake. Thought I burned up my fuel in the freeway, battle for the girl with my heart in a keepsake. Goddamn day, I'm thinking about it, and I just cannot go on without it. So I'm a matchstick, sulfur ghetto Serengeti heat wave, running hard after the girl in my dreams. Matchstick, sulfur ghetto Serengeti heat wave, running hard after the girl in my dreams. Yeah, thought I burned up my fuel in the freeway, battle for the girl with my heart in a keepsake. Burned up my fuel in the freeway, battle for the girl with my heart in a keepsake. Yeah, with my heart in a keepsake.
The Toddcast podcast is powered by Milano Coffee, bringing you the finest espresso and coffee concepts in the world. Online at milanocoffee.ca.
A look at this week's keyboard warriors, Todd's Trolls, on the Toddcast podcast.
Do this for me. The next time you're online, steer clear of the garbage comments. It doesn't matter what it is. It's a beautiful sunset. Maybe it's a video of a new song you're listening to, a picture of a family. It doesn't matter. No one and nothing is safe. Not even the mighty AC/DC. They are back with a new record as of this past Friday, the 13th of November. The album is called Power Up.
Who cares? It's been the same song since 1985, over and over and over. The term AC/DC is Australian slang for out with the garbage. Trust me, this album will suck harder than Harvey Weinstein's casting couch.
New to theaters as of this past weekend, Clifford the Big Red Dog. Stars Jordan Kerner, Walt Becker, Jack Whitehall, Kenan Thompson, Horatio Sands, Rosie Perez, David Allen Greer, a virtual who's who of the late night circuit. You know the story. A young girl named Emily discovers a small red puppy who magically becomes a gigantic dog.
Great. You've just ruined a part of my childhood. Thanks, Hollywood. Kenan Thompson will find a way to ruin this movie. I can't watch any of the SNL stuff he's in. It's terrible. Okay, this movie did not need to get made. Shame on everyone involved. Shame. Shame.
And you are only a few days away from UFC 255, November 21st on pay-per-view. After being in Abu Dhabi for the last month, the UFC is back in Vegas for the rest of 2020. Figueiredo defends his flyweight championship against Perez. The co-main event is fire. Shevchenko defending her flyweight title against Maya. That is going to be a great fight.
This is your main event? Wow. Come on, UFC. You can do better than this. The other fights on this card are a joke. Seriously, who are these people?
Todd's Trolls on the Toddcast podcast is powered by The Garage, Games and Geekery, your place to play RPGs, board games, and Warhammer in Maple Ridge. Online at garagegames.ca.
have always dug the sound of that band, We Hunt Buffalo, and a cool song for them called Comatose, and was over at Pineapple Sound a few weeks back hanging out with Dave and Tyler, and We Hunt came up in conversation. I'd said, man, what a shame. Too bad that those guys packed it in. Dave was like, no, dude. So he texts their drummer, and he's like, no, dude. Thankfully, I'd mixed them up with War Baby, who have, unfortunately, posted on their Facebook wall that they've thrown in the towel. We Hunt Buffalo continue the grind, though, which is great news. You may even have some new music out of these guys, considering that, you know, the COVID downtime and all. And really, really good live band, too, if you get a chance to see these guys. Hey, it could happen. Weirder things have happened. And you heard Small Town Artillery, and their song was called I Dare You, and another great live band. If you see them playing at a venue near you, maybe doing a live stream show, make the effort to be there. They have a great horn section. They had me at that. Killer live band and a great group of guys as well. Speaking of live music, find info for local shows, the streamed shows through the indie scene at toddhancock.ca. Slowly, it's coming back to life. Although we need to wait for 100-person plus at venues before we can bring back the Toddcast shows, certainly at the Railway, downtown Vancouver. If you know of any shows, of course, let me know about it. I'll post it at the website at the indie scene. Brought to you by Mystic Rhythms Rehearsal Studios. 40 plus years experience in the music industry. Great jam space. Find out more at mysticrhythms.ca. Okay, our final guest of this episode 232 is adult film star Romi Rain, this week's entertainment guest. Brought to you by Tomes. Let them help relieve stress and anxiety and ensure that you get a good night's sleep. The first 7 nights are on them. It's 100% free at tomes.com. That's TAUMMHOMS.com. TAUMMHOMS.com. What were you doing in 1988? Personally, it's grade 9. I'm living in Terrace up north, northern BC, for the first half of the year anyway. And then we moved down to Summerland in the Okanagan for the second half of the year. It was a big year in my life, a transitional year. There's new friends, new school. It's my first serious girlfriend. Remember, Canada had the Winter Olympics in 1988. Same year, a new drug called crack was devastating lives, especially in the States. Canadian sprinter Ben Johnson wins gold at the 88 Seoul Olympics, only to lose the medal after testing positive for anabolic steroids. How could you forget that? 1988, the UK amends their drinking laws, allowing pubs to stay open all day. Well played. And it was also the same year that adult film star Romi Rain was born. January 12th, 1988, Boston, Massachusetts. She moved to LA when she was 18 years old, went from being a hostess at Chili's at 15, scooping ice cream at 16, waiting tables in restaurants, and then becoming an exotic dancer at the age of 19. She modeled at trade shows, then did some webcamming for Playboy Live, then nude modeling, and it wasn't until she was 24 years old that she jumped into creating XXX content. Check it out. The full talk is definitely worth hearing. It's at our iTunes, Spotify, and SoundCloud pages. A simple search of Toddcast podcast will find it. Till then, here's 10 minutes with adult film star Romi Rain.
The Toddcast Podcast.
And then you also get, Instagram and Twitter and those platforms will outright just kill your account.
Yeah, they can. I mean, they say that they don't, but I'm definitely shadow banned.
Yeah. And so explain shadow ban, because a lot of people won't know what that means.
Well, it's a controversial phrase because a lot of social media says that that's not a real thing. I believe that like Instagram and Twitter have actually said that like that doesn't happen, even though they've also said that they can and do suppress certain accounts and hashtags and a lot of things. So we've had to get like, more intelligent when it comes to the way we post stuff. I mean, granted, at the same time, I do acknowledge as an adult entertainer that, Instagram is not an adult platform. So you also have to be aware of like what you're posting. Because I mean, I've seen some people get mad at getting deleted. I'm like, well, I can kind of see your butthole. So like you can't
like you're walking the line, but come on.
Yeah. So there's a fine line, but I mean, I've actually been unfairly deactivated a couple years ago, and it's like I had to send like Instagram my articles of incorporation to prove that it was me, and I wasn't actually breaking any rules at the time. I think it was because I literally linked to my Fleshlight, so it linked to like an outside like arguably adult site, but like it wasn't. So it was like it's a big mishmash of rules. Adult entertainers really always have to keep updated on like the TOS, terms of service, because they're usually, even though we tend to be, like you were mentioning, like some of the most followed people, we're undeniably popular. Like, how do you have millions of followers across social media platforms and people act like you don't exist and your time and energy and product doesn't matter? It does. We're popular for a reason. So we are arguably suppressed. I mean, I think, other performers, even like Mia Khalifa, I heard, did an interview saying that even like she's been very legitimately suppressed when it comes to like just searching her. She's like, yeah, well, look right now, try to just like find me. And you can't, you have to either look via tags or you have to actually Google search it. Like you have to like Romi Rain Instagram, and then my official Instagram will pop up. But otherwise you're searching through a bunch of fakes, and that's an issue too. It's like, how are these like dozens of fake porn accounts, some of which are posting actual graphic material, stealing from our fans? Like I get so many messages about that.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
And how old were you when you saw your first like Playboy or Penthouse or a magazine?
Ooh, I don't know, actually. Honestly, probably pretty young, because, when I was younger, I feel like we're the last generation. I don't know how old you are, but I'm 32. I don't care. But we're kind of like one of the last.
45. I got you by 10. I got you by over 12, 15, 13.
Love that. But like, see, but you understand this totally. Like we were some of like the last generations to actually have childhoods without technology and social media. Like when I was totally starting to use dial-up at like 10, and that was like AOL chat rooms, which I shouldn't have been on anyway, but but like it's a whole different world now. So back in the day, like it mostly was magazines, and like I remember scrambled porn. Like I remember watching scrambled.
That's right. And every once in a while it would like flash on for like 0.17 seconds. You'd be like, oh, I think I just saw them screwing.
Yeah, I think I saw a dick. I heard like a loud moan.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's funny. Like it was like Super Channel or something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah. I remember the black boxes too, because I'm from Massachusetts. So like everybody would just like do the black box thing, which was kind of stealing, but whatever. It was way back then, so it doesn't count. Or Skinamax. I remember back in the day when like Cinemax and Showtime, like they actually showed kind of adult movies, but it wasn't, you didn't see the penetration, but you saw pretty much everything but.
Right.
I loved that. Even when I was younger, because it seemed like, it was sexy and fun. It's like, girls with big tits bouncing around, just doing softcore.
Right. And you kind of, you got your mind's left to fill in the blanks that you now, of course, see full on.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, kind of young, because Playboys were in like Maxim and FHM, like those were like still really big when I was a kid. Penthouse, obviously, Hustler.
Right.
Yeah, I'm pretty young, to be honest, because I kind of grew up a little bit around some dancers and burlesque and adult entertainment. So I actually did kind of grow up knowing some people in some of those magazines, actually.
And what did you want to do in high school?
I don't know. I thought about a lot of random shit. I thought about, marine biology. I thought about joining the Army. I swear, I've said this in another interview, so I swear I'm not lying. I was like, I don't know, let's see what happened. I thought about just traveling. But I'm one of the first people really in my entire family to move out of Massachusetts. And I did it at 18 by myself. I moved 3 months after 18 to Los Angeles from Massachusetts.
Yeah. It's always
I went to explore the world, see what's like happening out there. I don't know. And everybody in my family, like shout out, like, hey, I know it's Father's Day, but everybody in my family had kids really young. I was like, I actually don't have any kids. Like, no problem. Right. For me, that's good. But like, so it was like, for me, it was a very different life than I've seen kind of growing up. Like I knew a lot of families, a lot of kids, the city kind of cold. I'm like, I wanted, big space, freedom, sunshine, and just fun. I want to see kind of what I could get into, really.
Yeah. And so what's the music in your house as a kid when you're growing up?
Oh, rock. I grew up total rock kid. I was born in 88. So it was like, there was always like Guns N' Roses and like, I grew up with 9 Inch Nails and Deftones. Ironically, like those are some of the things that I used to dance to when I started stripping at 19. Like those are my main kind of go-tos, were like the 9 Inch Nails and the Deftones, like kind of like, sexy late 90s, early 2000s rock, to be honest.
So your parents are hella cool or what?
I mean, I guess, like, by
they must be if they're fucking rocking that. Give me a break.
Yeah, I mean, well, there was a video of me when I was like young, like just kind of, I always talking about being too young, but like, I was just eating like Cheerios and like dancing along to literally like Guns N' Roses playing in the background. But Yeah, I mean, that was cool, you know, Massachusetts, like South Boston, like people were like a little rough and tumble. They had a good time, but yeah, in some ways, maybe I wasn't raised with so many like entertainment boundaries. Like I remember, like I loved movies even as a kid. I probably watched Basic Instinct like a little too young. I was like, oh, this is really cool, but maybe I got desensitized.
You were just allowed to watch those styles of movies more so than today. Like everything's so fucking scrutinized.
Yeah, and there's not really as many movies like that nowadays. I remember, like, you know, fucking Sliver and Basic Instinct came out like the same year, and they were basically like pseudo porn. It was great.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, you know, very sexy, very erotic. Like, I would talk about this too. I think I mentioned this on my own podcast. Like, how rare is it to see an authentic sex scene in Hollywood nowadays? Like, you can get like most actresses to like take off their bra during a scene. It's my biggest pet peeve when there's a sex scene in a Hollywood movie and the girl keeps her bra on the entire time.
Right, because that would happen in real life.
Never. I mean, rarely. If a girl keeps her
into the
shirt
wall
on
within 5 seconds and like clothes are gone.
Well, as a man, isn't that one of the first things you do? Like
100%.
You're not going to want to see some tits if you're fucking her? Like, I don't get it.
Probably, yeah.
Probably. If you can. If she's like, no, that's too close. It's too personal.
And what have you been watching during this whole COVID isolation?
Everything, kind of.
Right.
Like, we all, you know, all the series that I can. I mean, I love like the Mindhunter kind of energy. Of course, I watch Tiger King. I love like the serial killer stuff just because it's interesting to me.
Did she kill her husband?
Carol Baskin? Probably. But you know what? She sounds like a smart lady.
Well, didn't she like take over that other? Yeah.
Joe Exotic. She got Joe Exotic's like his whole like zoo because he tried to steal her brand logo, and you can't fuck with people's brands. And Carol was like, what? Okay, I'll brand. Yeah, exactly. Like, and that's power, though. I mean, so I don't know. Carol Baskin seems like somebody that I don't want to mess with. Is what I'm gonna say.
I'll just have my producers edit that out so we don't get killed.
I mean, hey, no, it's all right. I'm not against any of you. Good for you.
Man. Are you a fan of all the superhero movies and stuff that are made, like X-Men, Avengers, Deadpool?
Pretty much all of them. I wasn't a fan of like kind of the later gen X-Men. The earlier gen X-Men were better when it was like Halle Berry as Storm. Even though I love like James McAvoy and all that. Oh God, she's so hot. Especially like, oh my God. And she was another one that like wasn't afraid in like the early 2000s kind of vibe. She showed her boobs. I remember Swordfish.
Totally. It was the power couple because she was with David Justice, and that was like fucking what? Like,
and then she did Monsters Ball and got naked again, like
with Billy Bob Thornton of all people.
Yeah, I even liked Catwoman. She looked good. I'm a very visual person.
Yeah, she's definitely hot. She's got to be one of the hottest actresses for sure.
Yeah, especially long term and just like, here for it.
Yeah.
I was doing this earlier, actually. I was doing a live show, and I ended up going on like a 10-minute rant on like Megan Fox. Like, she didn't deserve to be like blacklisted the way that she was. Technically, if you watch Transformers, that's Michaela's movie. Michaela's the only one who knew anything about cars, and she had a backstory. Like, they did her dirty. They even kept the script for the episode, the third one, where they replaced her with Rosie Huntington-Whiteley, but they kept like the script the same, so it made no sense for that character, and just revealed Sam to be a complete misogynist. But that's just me. Jennifer's body is underrated.
Entertainment guests of the Toddcast podcast are powered by Tomes, where quality sleep matters. Find out more at tomes.com. That's TAUMMHOMS.com.
They are called Dead Quiet, and the lead-off track for their new album, Truth and Ruin, that one is called Atoned Deaf, and it might be the album of the year. Certainly indie hard rock album of the year. Is there such a category? Does that even exist anywhere? The takeaway is that you need to know this band. Again, Dead Quiet. We're looking forward to next week. Megadeth bassist Dave Ellefson is a guest.
I don't know. The good Lord, had me and Dave meet for whatever his purpose is, So.
And what was that meeting? How did that meeting take place? Like, how did you meet him?
Well, first, me and my buddies were just looking for some place to buy some beer and cigarettes. That's why we knocked on his door, because he lived right up above us. And we saw him walking around in the apartment building. He looks like a cool guy, and we were underage, so we couldn't even buy beer in California because we were only 18 and the drinking age was 21.
21. Yeah.
And so we needed an accomplice, but, Dave was cool, and it was kind of that, we buy, he'll fly kind of thing. So we just walked down to the corner liquor store. I still go in that liquor store from time to time, just to kind of relive this moment, you know what I mean? Because we went in, bought a case of Heineken. I remember Dave had it over his shoulder and he was walking back. I don't even know if he had shoes on. Maybe he did. I guess probably had to have shoes on to get in the store. But, he was just like the quintessential kind of California surfer, rock and roll guy. They didn't make people like that where I grew up in Minnesota. That was not. Right. I mean, Dave was just the epitome of this polar opposite of everything that I had grown up with. And yet, there I was, and he was talking about this band Metallica that he was in, but we had not heard of yet because Kill 'Em All hadn't come out yet. And Dave is a great storyteller, and these stories he would tell, and he's very captivating. And I soon realized, walking on Hollywood Boulevard, there was a lot of Vince Neil lookalikes, a bunch of David Lee Roth lookalikes. Obviously, Van Halen was very popular. Motley Crue was just starting to really take off. The US Festival had just happened a couple months earlier. And Randy Rhoads had sadly just passed. So Ozzy Osbourne was getting most of his musicians out of LA. So there was always like, we got to get to LA. That's where it's going on, And, so that just to be there and then, to meet Dave, and, I could tell Dave, I was like, okay, Dave is destined to be a star. I mean, this is a guy who's, that is his purpose on the planet. And he seemed very focused on how to get there. He's like, he had the map, he knew the way to get up the mountain. And, and as he was the general, he needed a lieutenant, and that became me, and that's really been our relationship ever since, from day one.
Pretty cool to hear how he and singer Dave Mustaine met. Joining Megadeth bassist Dave Ellefson next week is NHRA funny car racer Del Worsham and broadcaster, life coach Mandy Ross, a longtime friend of the podcast. Of course, I wanted to give a big thanks to this week's guests as well. Brent Smith, Zach Myers from Shinedown, on to promote their Smith & Myers project. Guys, really appreciate the time spent. I know you're really busy working on multiple albums at once. I look forward to hearing the new Shinedown album, and of course, congrats on the S&M album. They're absolutely killer tracks. Mr. Tequila, my brother from another mother, I got you till the end, man. Appreciate you coming on, shooting the shit as always, keeping it real. And XXX actress Romi Rain, you absolutely rule. I will say this, besides Todd Kearns, who is the bass player in Slash's band, he's also the singer in Age of Electric and Took and a few other projects. Besides Todd Kearns, you have shared your podcast appearance online more than any other guest. So thank you very much. That's super cool. You're good shit. Thank you so much for following and sharing my stuff like you do, and just being rad in general. Let's do it again next year. And I think that's going to do it for this one. Episode 232. Wow, we're up there. My name is Todd Hancock. Thank you so much for listening to the end. If you like what you heard, please tell your friends. You can subscribe again on iTunes and Spotify, SoundCloud. We're also on the Dean Blundell Network out of Toronto at deanblundell.com. We're also part of the Boot Crew Media Network out of New Orleans at bootcrewmedia.com. That's spelled Krewe. Comment and rate the podcast. Search it out through Toddcast Podcast. Huge thanks to all of our wonderful sponsors. You can find links to all sponsor websites at toddhancock.ca. If you'd like to sponsor the podcast, you can, for as little as $10 a day. There's contact info at the homepage. In fact, we're actually looking right now for a sporting guest sponsor. This has not happened for years. Thanks, COVID. Your business could be sponsoring all sporting guest appearances on this podcast. Recently, we've had on former Canucks defenseman Brent Sopel, UFC fighters, WWE stars, Olympians, and a lot more. If that makes sense, let's talk. Have a beer, have a coffee, and see what's up. Till next week, don't be an asshole. Nobody wants to be around that. Have fun, play hard, and most of all, believe in yourself.
The Toddcast Podcast. Keep in touch with Todd through Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and bookmark toddhancock.ca.
Talmor, Sheshin Murachi. Talmor is my home. My family have worked the land for generations. My gran says the island does not belong to us, but we belong to the island. And we must be ready, for a great evil is coming, and death follows with it.
Listen and subscribe to the latest season of Undertow, The Harrowing, a Storyglass production presented by Realm, available wherever you get your podcasts.
Contained herein are the heresies of Radolf Buntwine, erstwhile monk turned traveling medical investigator. Join me as I study the secrets of the divine plagues and uncover the blasphemous truth that ours is not a loving God, and we are not its favored children. The heresies of Radolf Buntwine, wherever podcasts are available.